Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to the Starcraft 2 Ownage Shack. It is David with you once again, bringing you a Starcraft 2 commentary. Going to be a Terran versus Zerg here today between Olive, the red Terran, and LiquidHayprO, the blue Zerg, here on the map Shattered Temple. Of course, this map really resembles the old Lost Temple, but don't be fooled, it is completely different. I believe I pointed out all of the differences in one of my former videos. I believe it was a first-person one. And yeah, the main things are basically this ledge is now gone, and this expansion is now not an island. Instead, it has two destructible rocks, and of course the last change is the middle of the map has only one tower and is much more wide open than before. This one tower does not provide vision of these alleyways, however, so it's not nearly as important to control this tower as it used to be. But anyways, yeah, that's the story of this map. One thing I just want to note before we get started here is I know this is a commentary. It's been so long since I've done one, and I thought I'd do this because it's a quick video to make, and I'm a little bit busy these days. That's why I haven't been putting videos out as much, but I should have two for you coming up today. This is going to be the first, and the next will be that strategy video I promised. Going to be a Protoss strategy. Hope you guys are all ready for that. Really think you're going to enjoy it. And it looks like Terran's doing something quite creative here. He's going to be, looks like, starting the makings of a wall with the barracks. I could see a strategy like this working on the old Lost Temple, where this was a lot more choked. It's now way more wide open. I believe it takes more buildings to wall this off, so that's extremely strange. The Overlord's going to see this, and he'll see it's a 2 barracks pressure. I see. This is just to get the barracks a little bit closer to his opponent. He is going to be pretty far, however, and unfortunately for HayprO, it looks like he's going hatch first into pool, so you know, I could definitely see these 2 barracks doing some damage. I'm surprised he did that, seeing as how he scouted this with his Overlord, but I guess he's confident he can hold it off. Zergs are definitely way better at defending these rushes than they used to be when they first started happening. And here comes the SCV, finally going to scout. He already knows where HayprO is because of the Overlord position, of course. And it looks like it's going to be the regular transition here. I would not be surprised to see this transition into an expansion for Olive. It's such a beautiful transition because you get so many minerals from just going for Marines early that you can easily put down the Expo, follow it up with 2 gas, get your tech, which is the siege tanks, and then make a really strong 2-base push at your Zerg opponent. And it looks like a bunch of drones are just coming up here. I think the idea with this was to intercept the SCV that was coming, but it looks like the drones, oh, that is absolutely horrific luck for the Zerg player. The drones just completely missed that SCV. Olive must have really pulled some sneaky stuff to get it to miss 5 drones like that, and what a waste of mining time. He will deny the bunker, but at a huge cost. That's not good at all. He is going to be getting a spine crawler, however, and that's going to definitely repel this rush. Looks like there's a considerable amount of Marines there, and they will get there before the spine crawler completes because they take a ridiculous amount of time to build. HayprO was forced into building a bunch of Zerglings though, and that should be enough with the paired help of the spine crawler to repel this pressure, especially since that bunker didn't get put up. Looks like he's going to try to flank, and we don't even have gas started for HayprO, so that's probably isn't going to go too well for him. If Terran micros correctly, all of his stutter stepping those Marines, taking out almost every single Zergling. That is not what HayprO wanted. My suggestion to you Zerg players, if you are in this position, and this is something I see a ton, just keep your Zerglings back. It doesn't really matter. Just wait until you have a bunch of them and you can kill them for sure. I see a lot of Korean Zergs do this thing, especially that we just saw there. They'll just take a few of the Lings, which is all of them at that point, and try and kill off the Marines. Just wait for the spine crawler and then use its help with the Zerglings on the creep, and that should easily clean this up. You never want to engage off creep without that speed bonus. Helps so much, trust me on that. And now Terran has a bunch of weakened Marines, but with the help of the spine crawler, I don't see them doing any damage. Oh, but he unburrows the spine! I have no idea why. That did not make sense. I don't like that play. All the Zerglings engaging off creep. Once again, there's no point. He should pull back. These Marines cannot do damage over there. There's no reason for him to be doing this. So many Zerglings are dying. And yes, the Marines are dying too, but look what's happening at the Terran main throughout all of this. He's getting way ahead. He's already got tech coming. He has a factory. The Zerg is finally just starting to mine gas. Doesn't even have speed researched yet. And the expansion's up and running for Terran as well. with a fully walled off base, so no two base Baneling busts are going to be happening here from HayPro. I really think he just should have pulled back and saved those lings. Imagine that battle with about 10 more lings, those lings he lost over here at the start. It would have been completely different, trust me. Yeah, and definitely unburrowing that spine was a bit of a mistake. I think what he was worried about there was the Marines coming in here and getting a good angle on the hatch. If that is the case, then you can just pull the drones, however. So I don't really agree with HayPro's decisions there too much. He's going to be droning up pretty hard right now, and that's kind of necessary considering the amount of larvae he put into Zerglings earlier. Looks like Stim is now on the way for Terran, and he's researching that in an outer tech lab. That's kind of risky, because what a Zerg can do, and this is something I suggest you do, is get a bunch of roaches and just try and snipe that tech lab. If it costs you a roach or two, that's okay. You're going to delay Stim, the most important upgrade for Terran, with the exception of probably the orbital command. And yeah, that's absolutely huge, denying that upgrade. Going to be even more important once this gets nerfed to 170 seconds instead of 140 that you see there. Looks like HayPro is going to be controlling the watchtower right now. Let's just take a look at his vision. So yeah, as you can see, this watchtower really not that useful. Like I said, doesn't provide much at all in the way of vision, so kind of unfortunate. HayPro is going to be taking down these destructible rocks, it looks like. Looks like he's investing in the late game. Going to try and expand here. Meanwhile, Terran getting a very late siege tech. I'd like to see siege tech a lot earlier than this, just in case he does switch into mass roach. Of course, Olive has had quite a bit of scouting done on the Zerg. Because he saw all those Zerglings early, he knows roaches aren't coming anytime soon. And in fact, it's going to be Banelings first. Banelings after the lair was started. So, not going to be too fast Banes there, but still faster than we might normally see. A lot of Zergs will go for a Spire first. Kind of risky. I think that this is really solid. If I were to play Zerg, and I know I don't as my main, what I would probably do is get a Roach Warren in between and then transition into Mutas. Just my preference though. And there goes the Spire right after the lair finishes. Great timing by LiquidHayprO right there. Meanwhile, tanks are in position, almost with siege tech, just finishing up there. And he looks like he's relocated those barracks to allow his units to exit. Of course, that wall was tight, so that's great to see. And he's going to be going for a drop. I think this is a great move by Olive because of the close positions by air. Extremely easy to drop, but with all this creep here, I don't think it's going to be too effective. And yeah, we'll have to see about that. Also, really impeccable timing of that engineering bay, so he's going to get in well in time for that Spire that's coming. And where'd those dropships go? Ah, here they are. Looks like he finds the one area without creep. Of course, Zerg has vision with this. The Banelings finish just in time, and he's going to have to load out. Ooh, not before losing a couple of Marines there. Kind of unfortunate for Olive, but not too big a deal. Marines are, of course, very dispensable. Looks like we're going to get centrifugal hooks as well. The Spire takes a really long time to build, so that's going to be a little bit of time before those Mutas come out. And if we take a look at the supply here, we can see Terran is just pulled so far ahead because of all that early economic damage he did to the Zerg. From the first time those drones pulled out to when he forced all those lings and killed them, it's no surprise Terran has a huge lead right now. And we're going to have to see, how this plays out on the map Shattered Temple, because on Lost Temple we all know how this would end. And it's a sad story for Zerg. Sorry guys, just my bad. Looks like he's going to be taking out an unbelievable amount of creep tumors, and I do have to commend LiquidHayprO for the creep spread he's got here. He's got full vision of everything that's happening. And a little bit of indecision there. Looks like he's going to actually get contained to his base. He has this third hatch out, but what he needs is Banelings to come in from this side if he wants to deal with these tanks. Got a nice spread here by Olive, and yeah, Zerg's going to need a ton of Banelings to deal with this. We see 13 more morphing right now. Should put a decent amount of Banes on the field. Terran's going to try and snipe some of those, it looks like. And a bunch of Marines get roasted. Absolutely great capitalization on the on that stim right there by LiquidHayprO, taking out all of the siege tanks of Olive. That was quite impressive. And if we take a look at the supplies now, they've been completely evened. Looks like our friend HayPro really knows how to turn on the aggression when it counts. That was quite decisive in contrast to his previous move, so really nice. All you Zerg players out there can really learn from this. This is great play by HayPro. Aside from the early game, I think he's really doing well here. Looks like Olive's going to be setting out his units over here, but yeah, on a map this wide, that's probably not going to work, and he realizes that it's going to be retreating, while the units of the Zerg player try and do some damage. Looks like we already have +1 upgraded for Terran, and we don't have an armory down yet, doesn't look like. That is something I do suggest you get. Oh, wait, never mind, just as I say that, looks like it is going down right here. And a second factory, so that's quite nice to see. Looks like he just wants to pump out a few more siege tanks. And also what you can do, and I've seen this work quite well, is you get a few Thors in there, because eventually the Banelings start owning your Marines, and then you have nothing to deal with the mutas. A Thor will never die to Banelings, though it takes a ridiculous amount. So this is a great move by Olive. I definitely like that. Good job, sir. What else do we have going on here? Okay, so more dronage, as we can see there, at this expansion by LiquidHayprO. Meanwhile, let's take a look at his upgrades. Got +2 and 0 Carapace, but that Carapace is on the way. Does he have double Evo? That is what I'm curious about. No, it just looks like 1 Evolution Chamber. I think I prefer the double Evolution Chamber. Get those upgrades out a little bit faster and beat the Terran in that respect. The armory is now complete, and let's see what he uses this on. We don't have any Thors coming out yet, and we don't have an upgrade either, so that makes me think that he's going to be going for Thors, unless he's completely messing up his timing here. Well, that's sloppy. You definitely want to start those upgrades immediately after this is built, otherwise you're pretty much wasting your time. And something Terran's got to do here, which it seems like he's gearing up for, is expand, because he's getting way behind right now. If we take a look here, Zerg is still at the same supply, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a much higher... Oh, never mind, actually, they're quite even in Harvesters. I thought for sure that HayPro had been droning up harder than that throughout all of this. So we've got Flyer Carapace going up before... Oh no, after Flyer Attack. So really nice upgrades by HayPro. He's doing a great job in that respect. Meanwhile, Olive, still not starting that upgrade at his armory. Also, the other thing he could have used this armory to get is the +2 upgrades for his infantry, but he's not upgrading either right now, so I'm very curious as to why he put this down. I'm quite convinced at this point that it was just a mistake by him at finally starting the... Oh, no, he started the vehicle weapons, but then canceled them immediately, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. Looks like the mutas are finally going to be coming in for harassment, and don't be repelled by that, just one turret, easily take that out. What you want to do with this amount of mutas, as you can see, it denied that. You can simply just pick off the turrets, then go to town on the SCVs. It's a great strategy. Works quite well. Zerg players are really getting used to that now, as we can see in the GSL, which I suggest all of you go watch, because it's the most epic thing ever. Honestly, the best $10 I spend every season. So fun. Take up all my bandwidth. It's absolutely epic. I love it. And you will too, I promise. Looks like Terran's going to be going for the gold base, and I can't disagree with that. It's pretty much impossible to defend this from mutas unless you're going to actually park a Thor here, which is something I do, but only when I go mech. Looks like that vehicle weapon is finally coming out, as well as a Thor, and Zerg is continuously going around the map, going to be taking the island as well. This is something you want to be careful of. What happened here is he clicked the minerals to mine, but they just mined before this expansion popped out, so a little lapse in timing there as mutas tried to do damage, and this is what I'm talking about. And an overstim by the Terran player, going to cost him a ton of life. Mutas come back here to retreat. As we can see, the rocks aren't taken out yet, so he can easily park the mutas there and just heal up all he wants. I also like this, denying expansions by spewing creep down there. And the mutas probably aren't going to want to fly along this path. That could be very bad. There's a ton of Marines, but forcing another stem. And these medevacs are going to be completely drained of energy at this point. Also, we did see a hive go down at this time, and the infestation pit is already up. Looks like the second Evo is finally coming, and we're immediately going to a Greater Spire, so HayPro clearly wants to get out Brood Lords. Yeah, that's... Well, I guess that's pretty obvious, but against this unit mix, yeah, Brood Lords, I agree with that, absolutely. Marine and Tank rips Ultras apart. I don't quite like Ultras versus this combination, so I think Broods are definitely the way to go. And we see still pretty even in the supply, but Zerg definitely needs some more gas. He's fully mining up all these geysers, however, so I don't see why that's an issue. And are these... I'm not sure if those are rich geysers. I don't believe so. But either way, we do have finally some decent upgrades going up for Terran. No armor on anything, though. It looks like he just wants to hit a timing, and... Well, we'll see what goes on here. This is so wide open now that I don't really see this ending well for the Terran if the Zerg can get the Broodlords out in time. But it looks like this timing is actually quite impeccable. These Marines are getting out of position though, and an Infestor takes a nice stab with Fungal Growth there, and the Lings will easily clean up all those Marines. And it looks like... Ooh, I don't like this at all. That's way too clumped up. You want to have, ideally, none of these tanks beside each other. This is too easy to surround. Get your tanks at basically, this is the idea with tanks. Cover as large a surface area as possible, meaning the larger the boxes that I have to place to cover the tanks, the better. So if my box were like that, covering the tanks, that would be way better. And Zerg, yeah, I honestly think Zerg is absolutely going to crush this. Only Marines with no Marauders doesn't work at this point in the game. You need the Marauders because there's just too many Banelings. The tanks have their upgrades, but if he gets caught unsieged, he is absolutely dead. And this is the kind of siege line I want to see. That is great. My opinion just changed because of that. And what Zerg wants to do... Oh, beautiful Fungal Growth. That is absolutely perfect. And now you're going to see exactly why you do not want to go Mass Marine in the late game against Zerg. Look at those Banelings. Absolutely melt everything. All the Marines are dead, and that will allow the Mutas to clean everything else up. The Broodlords barely even had an effect. Just a few kills on these Broods. The Banelings just did a ridiculous amount of damage, and now Zerg has effectively teched to tier 3 and is really punishing Terran for playing this map like it's Lost Temple, like it was when Terran was imbalanced on this map, where Terran was overpowered. I'm going to say it was true. And yeah, Olive, you need to step your game up, adapt, get better, or get run over, because that is exactly what's happening right here. And man, so good from HayprO. If we look at the supply, we can see he's just taking a gigantic lead against Olive right now, and I'm really starting to dig this game. We do have another base coming up for Olive, but at the same time we have another for Zerg, and we have now 1, 2, 3, 4 mining bases for the Zerg versus only 2 of Terran, and this one doesn't even have gas yet. So definitely a gigantic lead for Zerg. I like getting the planetary here. That's a good idea. What I also recommend you Terran players do if you opt to get these planetaries is you put maybe 1 or 2 barracks right in front of them so they can't right click on this with Banelings and take it out. It's a great strategy. I suggest you use it. It's something I do in my ladder games. You'll notice that. And it can really buffer quite a few hits before the Banelings can attack your precious base. Looks like finally Olive's going to start dropping here with his 3-0 Marines. Going to want to get that armor upgrade. Looks like it is on the way. But with this many Mutas, that's just not going to work. As we see the medevac gets sniped immediately, and he saves the hatchery with 9 HP left. Quite impressive right there. It looks like I did miss the drop quite a bit. I do apologize for that. Pretty epic game though, I have to say. And Terran continuing to just control this area of the map. It's the most important area right now. And it looks like he is going to be taking advantage of this terrain, but so is the Zerg. This is going to prevent those Marines from running up and sniping the Broods. And look at how many Broods there are. Oh, Infestor Broodlord, what a sick combination. The Mutas probably don't want to get on the action there before the Banes, though. Oh, looks like it doesn't matter. A huge swarm of units from the Zerg. It's going to take everything out. Tanks do a good job killing Banelings, but it's just not going to matter. So many tier 3 units. Ghosts finally coming out to deal with the Infestors, but Terran has lost everything at this point. 80 supply to 150, just continually going up. Oh, and no GG from Olive. Oh, that's quite unfortunate. I'm sorry, Olive. That's just rude. You got outplayed extremely hard by HayprO. I mean, throwing a huge lead like that Olive had developed earlier in the game, quite unfortunate. But I have to commend HayprO. He did absolutely everything correctly to get himself back in that game. Really took advantage of the new Lost Temple by abusing this wide open space and really punished Terran for going for strategies that would only work on the old map, where you could actually walk through the middle here, where there's tons of these obstacles right here and right here to block off that Baneling surround. So great job by HayprO. Congratulations. I hope you enjoyed this cast, and I hope you come again for another daily dose of Ownage.